Here at LSE, we want to share a blueprint for a planet's survival. But here's the thing. It doesn't start with some hopeful, far-off dream. It starts with a powerful truth about something incredible humanity has already done. So what if I told you that we, as a species, have already achieved something so ambitious, so visionary, that it almost sounds like science fiction? Well, we have. And that one success story is the very foundation for everything we're about to talk about. For over 65 years, that's more than half a century, one of the most remarkable agreements in human history has been quietly and successfully working. This number represents decades of peace, science, and nature preservation on a massive continental scale. That's right, the Antarctic Treaty. It has kept an entire continent. We're talking 14 million square kilometers, completely free from military activity and mining. It is just undeniable proof of what we can accomplish when we commit to a big vision with a legally binding framework. And this, right here, is the crucial question. If we can successfully protect Antarctica, what is really stopping us from using that exact same model to create a permanent and even expanding network of protected wild lands and seas all across the globe? Because the honest truth is, we are at a critical crossroads. The way we're trying to do conservation right now, well, it's just not working. The data is beyond stark. Let's just take a hard look at the reality of where we are today. Okay, so since 1970, we have seen an average drop of 73% in monitored wildlife populations. Now, this isn't just some abstract number. It represents a catastrophic unraveling of the very ecosystems that support all life on this planet, including our own. And this chart, wow, it just shows you the problem so clearly. You see that we've designated some areas as protected, but that only covers about 17% of the land and a measly 8% of our oceans. The vast majority of our planet has no meaningful, permanent protection at all. And this gets to the very heart of the problem. Most of our conservation efforts rely on simple administrative policies. You know what that means? A new government can come in and just erase years of work with the stroke of a pen. They're fragile, they're temporary, and they create these little isolated islands of nature that are pretty much doomed to fail in the long run. But it really doesn't have to be this way. We have a comprehensive 5-part blueprint that's designed to move us away from flimsy, temporary policies and toward real, permanent protection. Let's break down exactly how it works. So our strategy is built on 5 pillars that all support each other. They have to work together as a system. First, it all starts with a legal foundation, binding treaties and actual constitutional rights for nature. This makes protection permanent, kind of like the rights we give to people or corporations. Then, from that foundation, we build connected wild networks, because nature needs hallways to move and adapt, not just isolated rooms. But you know, laws are totally useless if you can't enforce them, and that brings in pillar 4, radical technological transparency. And finally, we tie the whole thing together by rewiring our economies to finally make conservation profitable. You see, each pillar holds up the others. And this slide just lays it out so clearly. It's the fundamental shift we're talking about. We need to move from the current system, which is so easily reversed and crumbles under pressure, to a new one that is legally permanent, that lasts no matter who's in office, and that builds the resilient, connected networks that nature actually needs to survive. So, what are we really talking about when we say connected wild networks? Well, think about it. Nature doesn't live in neat little boxes on a map. Animals have to migrate, plants need to shift as the climate changes. By creating corridors between protected areas, we let ecosystems function the way they're supposed to, and that's what ensures their long-term survival. Now, this next part is a total game changer: accountability. Because a promise to protect something is absolutely meaningless if you can't check that it's actually being protected. We're proposing using powerful open technologies to create a system of radical transparency, where literally anyone, anywhere, can monitor the health of our planet. And the amazing thing is, the tech to do this isn't science fiction. It's here, right now. We're talking about near real-time satellite data, AI-powered sensors that can hear chainsaws or gunshots in a forest, and even sampling DNA from a river to know exactly what species are there. All this data would feed into public dashboards that every single one of us could see. And here's the whole point of that. When you can no longer hide deforestation or poaching, it becomes politically toxic. This kind of transparency creates a powerful incentive for governments and corporations to actually do what they promise to do. There's nowhere to hide. And finally, the last piece of the puzzle, and maybe the biggest, we have to fundamentally restructure our economic incentives. I mean, for way too long, our system has made destroying things profitable and protecting them a cost. We have to flip that equation completely on its head. And we know for a fact this works. Just look at community conservancies, where local people get a direct income from things like ecotourism. In those areas, wildlife populations have literally tripled. Why? Because the community has a powerful economic reason to protect the animals. We can take that model and scale it up globally. Okay, so this vision is ambitious, I get it, but it is so achievable, and it's going to require all of us. So let's talk about how you can actually be a part of building this future. Whether you're a lawyer who can help with treaties, a scientist, a software developer who can build these dashboards, your expertise is desperately needed. You can get involved directly in advocacy or community science projects, or you can provide strategic support to the organizations that are already on the ground, building these permanent legal and financial frameworks. And I have to be really clear about this. The window of opportunity is closing fast. The next 5 years are absolutely critical. What we manage to do by 2030 will decide whether we build a foundation for recovery or if we cross tipping points from which there's no coming back. So, with that urgency in mind, let's look at the future this blueprint can create. A future that isn't just a fantasy, but is truly, truly within our grasp. Think about this timeline. In 1959, we did the impossible. Right now, today, we stand at a crossroads. But by 2030, we can establish the foundations for a global network of permanent protection. And that leads to a future where our planet is thriving, interconnected, and truly wild once again. So, just like we said at the very beginning, the model for success already exists. The only question left is one of will. Can we take what we learned in Antarctica and apply it to the entire planet? We absolutely believe we can. So there it is. The blueprint is on the table. The technology is ready to go. The proof that it can work is already there. The only variable left in this whole equation is us. Will we choose to build this permanent, wild future together?